Hello and welcome to France 24's weekly music show. I'm Jennifer Ben Brahim. Today, I'm joined in the studio by an artist who's ripping up the rulebook with his new record.
What I would give to be is free.
Irish singer-songwriter and producer James Vincent McMorrow emerged in 2010 with the album Early in the Morning. Now since then, his blend of folk, indie and rock has garnered over 1 billion streams. He's on the road with his musical experiment, Wide Open Horses. Now, it's a soulful album that offers respite from the chaos of the modern world. Now, James, hello, and thanks for joining us in the studio.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, you're back with your 7th studio album, and this time you took a very different creative process in making the album. The music came to life on stage. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, so in order to make it interesting and to kind of to bring it back to how it used to be, where music had real stakes to it, like there was potential for failure. I think that the music industry has worked very hard to aggregate itself to quite a boring kind of middle, where like it's very easy to make records sound perfect. It's very easy to be on stage and use a lot of backing track, and it wasn't that interesting to me. So we played shows in Dublin last year where I had this album half finished, went on stage with the songs. I think it was about 1,500 people a night. Everyone gave their cameras, their phones away, so no one could film it. I played the album from start to finish as I had it in my head, and then did it again the next night. And it was just an experiment to sort of see what happens in a room when people are experiencing a thing in real time that they're never going to get to experience again. And it was incredible, and it made the album make sense to me. And so that was how I kind of went into the studio, with that kind of energy coming out of those shows.
And what kind of notes did you get from doing those shows? What did you tweak after those 2 performances?
There was stuff that immediately became apparent. There were certain songs that just weren't good enough that, I could tell. And that was the reason I did it, because in the past, I'm a producer almost before I'm a live performer. That was my first sort of passion. So I make a lot of music in the studio, and then I bring it to the stage. And there's certain songs that I wish I'd put that on stage, because the oxygen that you get from an audience and that feeling, it changes a song. So there were certain songs that immediately just were like, okay, this isn't good enough. And there were certain songs that were like, okay, this is a thing that I can build an entire album around. So it worked so far beyond what I thought what I was gonna get from it. Was just exponentially more. Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, you were mentioning previously that you took everyone's phones before the show, and bouncing off that, I've read that you described the album as just kind of attempt to find relief from the cycle of life's pressures, like notably technology. I wonder, for you, is technology, like, in what way does it have like a detrimental effect on your creativity?
I mean, it's a complicated question, because like my career wouldn't exist without technology. Like, I am a very anxious person. I'm a very shy person. So the idea of making music before laptops would terrify me. Going into a studio with strangers and having to play music when I was a kid. I had a computer and I had access to the internet, so I would put my music on MySpace when I was a kid, and it was a game changer. So I love the idea of technology as a tool. It's when it becomes a crutch. It's when it becomes something that allows you to make your life too easy. That's what was starting to happen for me in the studio, was rather than like go the hard path, I was like, I could just tune that vocal, and I could just comp those drums. There was just things that were happening that just felt very counterproductive to actually making great music. Yeah. So that's my interaction with technology. And then in terms of like social media and stuff like that, I've never been a very visible person. It's not my particular like love. I don't love that part of it. I do understand it, and it's a great way to connect with people. And in the beginning it was lovely, but I think everybody would have to accept that, like, social media has become predominantly pretty toxic and pretty intense.
Oh, for sure. I definitely think that it's really become, I think, a crutch for so many of us.
And it puts so much pressure on people. Like, music is, everything in life is hard. Like, everyone's job is specifically stressful to them. So like, being a musician is a stressful job in the same way that your job is stressful and comes with its share of like ups and downs. But when you're a musician and you put all this time and effort into making music, and then you hand it over to these people that are supposed to sell it, and then they're like, okay, cool, now you need to be a full-time content creator. I worry for people coming through. It breaks my heart that musicians might not get the opportunity that I got. Like you said, I put my first album out in 2010. That was right at the inception point of a lot of what you see now. But I could make mistakes and no one would like drag me over the coals for it. Like I got away with so much learning that doesn't happen now because there's this pressure. You've got to immediately put your stuff online. If Spotify doesn't have tens of millions of streams, then it's a failure. But that's just not true. Like,
let's hope that it gets better for the next generation.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a very quick look at one of the videos from the album. This is called Things We Tell Ourselves.
I don't know, I keep it time, they never showed. I don't know, I pick it up fast and let it down slow. 'Cause I've been thinking about how much I miss you around. If you come back, I'll never let you down, no. And I've been thinking about.
So that was The Things We Tell Ourselves. Now, James, there's also a very special collaboration on this album. On the song Give Up, you have a very special duet with your daughter, Margot. How did this come about?
she came into the studio one day without me realizing it. I had my back to the door, and she just came in and started singing on the mic. There she is. And it was just...
It's so cute.
It was that, literally that. She just came in and started singing, and the song needed something. And I'm a big believer in this whole album, like I said, with the shows and the nature of it. I was leaving things open to the universe to a degree in a way that I haven't before. So I had this song, I really loved it. It needed something. She came in and started singing a line and a lyric that I would never, ever sing. And it just made sense coming out of her mouth in a way that it wouldn't coming out of mine. So, yeah, it was just a beautiful moment. Yeah.
We've got a star, in the making there. We're going to move on very quickly to some other music news, and we'll come back to the album. Now, it's the time of year in France where the country is taken over by music. Now, the all-day celebration takes place annually on the 21st of June, and the performances on the street, in public spaces, and concert venues. Now, there are hundreds of options out there for music lovers, including a concert at Paris's iconic Olympia venue, featuring the likes of Frenchies, Justice and Luigi, as well as British producer Jamie XX. We're going to take a very quick listen to one of the tracks off his upcoming studio album, In Waves. This is Treat Each Other Right. So that was Jamie XX. Now, James, you've had some very unexpected collaborations throughout your career, from covering Chris Isaak's iconic Wicked Games for the Game of Thrones Season 6 trailer, to also lending your voice to the song Hype from Drake's 2016 album Views. Some very unlikely collaborations. Are there any other kind of projects on your bucket list, would you say?
On my bucket list, not necessarily. Like I like writing for other people, and I like producing for other people, and it's something that if someone sends me something that's interesting, I'm on board. Like the Drake thing that came through, the album that I was making at the time, I was working on it with the producer that has produced a lot of Drake's records, and so we were just collaborating on stuff, and that sort of came very organically. So I'm not very careerist like that. I don't really think about, I would love to work with this person. I get sent a lot of stuff, and it's really, I'm almost more intrigued by new things. Okay. I've been working with this British artist called El Mean, who's like a beautiful soul singer, and something like that was new, and I could kind of get in there and kind of like help make it as good as possible in a very supportive way. That's what intrigues me, rather than saying like, I'd love to work with, some giant superstar. Okay, well, maybe this next artist will be someone you could potentially add to this non-existent bucket list. Be the first artist. Now, to my album of the week, has to be said, is Crash by American R&B singer Kehlani. Now, it's her 4th studio album, and the first single from the album is Next to You. Now, it's really a love letter to Palestine, and it features a poem by American-Palestinian writer Hala Alian, and the costumes in the video are all adorned with a keffiyeh. Let's take a look at the striking video.
Now, James, in this current climate that we're living in, with what's happening in Ukraine and Gaza, we're seeing the kind of rise of the far right in countries across Europe, such as in France. How important is it for artists like yourself to use your platform to speak out?
I think it's vital. I think it's a funny one that musicians have to. Like, I think everybody knows what's right and wrong, and I think musicians have a public platform, and they should avail of it and use it to just, it's not. When you see something in front of your face and it's wrong, you speak on it. That's what musicians should do. Like, I love Kalani, and I think that drawing attention to, like, injustices and tragedies is such a human thing, and everyone should do it, not just musicians. Okay, well, that's a very good message to pass on. Now, we've come to the end of the show. It's gone very quickly. I want to thank you, James Vincent McMorrow, for coming to speak to us in the France 24 studios. A reminder that his album Wide Open Horses is out now. I cannot recommend it higher, and you can catch him on tour around Europe and North America. Now, we're very lucky you're going to be playing out for us a song from the album. This is Stay Cool. Take it away.
Stay cool, you said to me. Moved out of the city that winter. You turn and you stand on your feet. Is what good shoes if not weathered? Cold water brought to the table, divided in glasses, we drink it. I last saw the park in June, so we walked by the lake and we wonder, do you love me? Oh, do you love me? Oh, do you love me like I love you? Do you pray? I don't think that I do. I just speak all these words in the silence. Still, I hope that I do believe there is something directing this madness. 'Cause I wasn't expecting to find someone sweet, someone kind, someone graceful. You bought this carnival show, and somehow you have made it seem tasteful. Do you love me? Oh, do you love me? Oh, do you love me like I love you? Cold Canyon, it echoes above us. The moon tries to cover our faces. In the hotel, it's around the block. Why don't all cities have blocks? It just makes sense to me. We'd see the world in straight lines. There's something cold, there's something clean, there's something easy. But that's not the way that it is. So until I forgive myself, nothing. Do you love me?